In today's tutorial, I'll show you how to do screen printing with your Cricut. This is a very beginner-friendly tutorial, and I'll tell you all about my secrets to guarantee success. So let's talk supplies, and this is where most of my secrets are. So the first thing that you'll need is a screen printing frame. This one is by Speedball, and they offer it with the base unit, which is this wooden board, or you can get the screen printing frame by itself. And the screen printing frame is essentially a very fine mesh that's stretched over a wooden frame. Now this frame is 10 by 14 inches, which means that the maximum size that you can go with this frame for your stencil is 10 by 14. And so now my first secret to guarantee success is to figure out what shirt sizes you are going to work with. If you are planning to screen print on shirts that are at least large or extra large, then the 10 by 14 frame might not be universal for you, and you might be better off with a 12 by 16 frame. Once you figure out the right screen printing frame for your shirts, you'll need a screen printing squeegee to go with your frame. For this 10 by 14 frame, I go with a 9-inch squeegee that fits nicely within the frame. Next, you will need permanent vinyl to cut your stencil from. My all-time favorites are Orica 651 from Michaels or StarCraft permanent vinyl. And to cut your stencil vinyl, you'll need a cutting machine. I'm using my Cricut Maker. And along with that, you'll need your reading tool, your transfer tape, your squeegee, and a masking tape as well. And you'll need a shirt to screen print on. Screen printing works on polyester, blends, and cotton. What matters with screen printing is whether the fabric is dark or light, and I'll talk about that in a second. And lastly, but most importantly, you're going to need screen printing ink. And I'm using Speedball water-based screen printing ink, and it comes in two types. Type for light colored fabric and another type for dark color fabric. So by looking at these two sets of screen printing ink, you might think that they're the same, but unfortunately they're not. The difference between these two inks is this tiny shirt over here. This dark shirt on Speedball screen printing ink indicates that it is intended for dark fabrics. Speedball calls these opaque screen printing ink, and they are very rich in color and they have slight shimmer to them. So this is the normal yellow screen printing ink from Speedball compared to the opaque yellow screen printing ink, and I think you can spot the difference. So my second secret to guarantee success is to figure out what color of shirts you are planning to screen print on, because if you plan to go with dark colored shirts, then you will need opaque screen printing ink. Because if you use the normal screen printing ink on dark shirts, you might not get vibrant results. And I'm showing you this by using the opaque and non-opaque screen printing ink on a dark shirt. So right away, before they're even completely dry, you could see that the opaque yellow has a shimmer to it and is rich in color, unlike the normal yellow. And after I left them to air dry, you could see that the opaque yellow is still shimmery and still rich, unlike the normal yellow. It faded and the black is completely showing through. Here's both side by side to show you the difference. So my second secret to guarantee success is to pick the screen printing inks based on the color of the fabric that you are using. The opaque screen printing inks can be used for dark and light fabrics if you don't mind the shimmer, but the normal screen printing inks can only be used for light fabrics. So now that you're ready to tackle this, let's cut our vinyl stencil. For this, I went to Creative Fabrica. I'm using this design for my camo shirt, but I'll link to other Mom Squad designs that I think will go well with this shirt. I'll also link to a free 1-month membership to try. So now back to business. I downloaded it and I extracted the file, and then let's go to Cricut Design Space. Once you open Cricut Design Space, it'll update of course, but now once we're in, we'll need to start a new project. Go to Upload from the left panel, and now browse for the SVG that we just downloaded from Creative Fabrica. After you finish your hunt for the SVG, you'll need to upload it as a cut image on your Cricut Design Space. And then once it's uploaded, you'll need to add it to your canvas. And since we are doing this screen print all in one color, I'm going to select everything and I'm going to go to Combine and then Weld it all. So now that the design is one piece, feel free to size it per the size of the shirt that you're going to use. I'm using a shirt that's a large size, and for a large size shirt, I like to keep my decal at least 11 inches wide. I honestly like my designs to be big on my shirts, so it depends on what you like and your preference. But once you size it as you see fit, now we are going to make it. Click on Make It, and the first thing that you're going to do is toggle the mirror on. This is very important. Whenever you do screen printing, you want to mirror your design. And for this, I'm using my Oracle 651 and I'm cutting it on premium outdoor vinyl with more pressure. And now you'll need to lay down your permanent vinyl on your standard gift mat and then load it to your Cricut. Click on the C button to cut your vinyl stencil. And we're going to let our Cricut do its thing and cut our vinyl stencil. Of course, I wish it would cut this fast, but that's okay. Once she's finished, we are going to weed our vinyl stencil. And for screen printing, you want to weed the actual design because this is where the screen printing ink is going to go. So unlike the normal decals where you weed out the excess vinyl around your design, no, we're going to do it the other way around. I also swear by my weeding pen, so don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and let me know in the comments whether you are a weeding pen or a weeding tool crafter. Once you are done weeding your design, it's time to transfer that stencil to our screen printing frame. And there are a lot of success secrets that I'm going to reveal here. The first secret is to keep your decal on the mat. Then use my favorite transfer tape, which is StyleTech Medium Tack, and apply it from the center outwards. Then you'll need to trim it. And you can go over it real quick with a squeegee just to make sure that the transfer tape adhered real well and that there are no bubbles. And once you are done, you'll need to flip the mat and peel away the mat from the stencil. And now we are ready to apply that stencil to our mesh screen. And this is where sizing of the screen matters because you need to make sure that your design fits within the mesh part of your screen. So after figuring out where I will position my stencil, now I'm ready to transfer it. One of my secrets to guarantee success with this transfer is to insert books behind the mesh so that the mesh is supported when we transfer the stencil on it. And you don't need your books to be of the same size as your mesh part of the screen. You just need some books to fit in that area to give you some support at the center at least. And by doing this, you take some pressure off of the mesh screen when you're applying your stencil, so it eventually prevents sagging. So now that your mesh screen is supported, peel away the backing from your vinyl stencil, and now you are ready to apply it to the screen. I like to apply it from the center outwards and take my time while placing it to make sure that I get no bubbles and I get the perfect placement. Once you lay it down, now is the time to go over it with your squeegee. And you can also move the screen printing frame as you squeegee all over the design, just to make sure that the book is behind the spot that you're burnishing. And now if you have any excess vinyl, feel free to cut it. And as you can see now, the reason we mirrored our design is because we applied our vinyl stencil on the underside of our screen printing frame. So once you flip it, you'll see the design in the correct orientation. But now you'll need to burnish it some more on the front side. And so after squeegeeing, is this even a word? After burnishing it from the front and the back, you'll need to peel away your transfer tape. Peeling slow and parallel to your design usually gives you the most successful results. And now that we've successfully done that, it's time to mask out the rest of our screen. And the reason we do that is because we don't want any screen printing ink to go through the mesh screen in these areas. So you can use blue painter's tape to mask out all the areas around your vinyl stencil. This way, we guarantee that when we push the screen printing ink through the stencil, it only gets transferred through the design, not anywhere else. And now we are almost ready to screen print, but we just need to prepare our shirt for screen printing. So I like to lint roll my shirt, make sure that it's wrinkle-free. And lastly, I like to make sure I have a big enough piece of cardstock inside my shirt to catch any bleeding if it happens. And now we are ready to screen print. Since my shirt is light colored, I'm going with the normal black ink by Speedball. Speedball's screen printing ink is non-toxic and it's water-based and it's very beginner friendly. I like to use a craft stick to stir up the jar before I put any screen printing ink down on my screen. And then I like to apply a kind of a generous amount along the design, and it was spilling at me at some spots, but that's okay. And don't worry, any extra screen printing ink is not going to waste. Once you lay down enough ink, hold the screen printing frame with one hand and with the other hand, squeegee the ink through the stencil. I like to push the ink from the top to the bottom and then from the bottom to the top about 2 or 3 times to make sure that I get all the spots. And once I'm done, I like to squeegee all the ink down on one side and then transfer that ink back to my screen printing jar. And now you can lift your screen printing frame. I absolutely love how this black is so rich and vibrant on my shirt. So now we need to let our shirt air dry for about 4 hours, or if you are in a hurry, you can use a heat gun. You can also use the fan, but I like to use my heat gun on the high setting and go over the design super quick. And I'll link this heat gun and all the materials that we used today in the description box down below. And since this screen printing ink is water-based, it is still washable and it's not permanent until we heat set it. So the next step is to heat set our shirt. So once the design is dry, you'll need to heat set your shirt, and you can do that by using a home iron by going over the design for 2 or 3 minutes, or you can use your heat press at 320 for 40 seconds and that will do it. And look at how it turned out. I cannot emphasize on how this black turned out super rich and vibrant. But don't go anywhere, we're not done yet. Let me show you how to clean up after you've done your screen printing. So once you finish screen printing, you'll need to take your screen printing frame to your kitchen sink and you'll need to rinse all that extra ink off. It's important to rinse it right away when you're done because otherwise the ink might dry on the screen and this will ruin it. You can always remove the masking and the vinyl stencil prior to putting your screen printing frame in your kitchen sink. But I figured if I'm getting my hands dirty, then I might as well do it all in the sink and wash it in one go. I continued rinsing it and I used Dawn Power Wash to make sure that it's really clean. Now, sometimes we don't get it right from the first try, and it could be frustrating, and I'm here to help. So if you ever remove your frame and find that you did not get a good screen print, don't panic. Just take it to your nearest sink. Take a deep breath and you can curse, but rinse it, wash it, and you can do it again. I'm just telling you this to be prepared, but you could try and succeed from the first time and then your shirts will be as good as this one. Or this one with silver screen printing ink. Now, if you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like and subscribe and I'll see you next video.